Hey, welcome to Integrated Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. I just want to shoot kind of a quick one today. I didn't get around to it earlier because Kelly and I went out and did something, but I thought I'd shoot a quick one about some basics, kind of about what we did today that everybody should be thinking about if you're not already, as it's coming into springtime. Got up this morning and I was going to get started writing. We got the kids off to school and had my first cup of coffee, and she said something about there was a garage sale up there that she saw something she'd like to go get later, and I said, well, let's go get it now. And then I realized that our neighborhood, you know how in the suburbs all the different developments have their garage sales, right? And I hadn't even thought about it, but it's that time of year, garage sales. So I told her I'll go with you, and because I want to look for some gardening tools. You know, tools can be expensive, and you can never have enough. You can never have too many shovels, pickaxes, hoes, rakes, spades, any of that stuff. So I thought I'd go, well, we went out, we had a good time, and I picked up some great stuff. I picked up a shovel. First off, just a regular shovel, a point tip shovel this thing had to be made back in the 50s, and I don't know if it had the original handle on it or not, but it had a handle from when they used to make handles like they should. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. You can just drop it anywhere. UPS on their daily delivering, bringing me more stuff.
Leave it up here for you?
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Yeah, have one.
Every time I see one of their trucks and it says natural gas vehicle, I think about switching one of my vehicles over to natural gas. We'll see. Maybe I'll do that sometime. So anyway, I got this shovel, and it is stamped deep, made in the USA, and it is good. And I got it for $3. I got a coal shovel that was probably made before then, just by looking at it. And I'm not going to shovel coal with it. I'll use it to shovel compost and wood chips and things like that. But it had a handle on it that was cool. I should have brought it over here, but I didn't. It's back in the backyard. I've already used both of them. Tried the shovel out, and I turned quite a bit of garden today. A couple of the raised beds and getting ready to put in some onions. Put in potatoes a couple weeks ago, and that's potatoes for some of you farther north of me. And then turned a couple of raised beds, getting ready to put in the tomatoes and eggplants and peppers and all those other things we do. Okra. I can't even. I've got a lot of seeds started, and it's running kind of late. I've learned not to plant early later. Which reminds me, I'm going to jump in here, I just put over on, but this morning I put over on the Patreon side, the Patreon channel, which the link is down there, an interview by Mike Adams of Ben Davidson, for those of you who know Ben Davidson. And they were talking a lot about, the solar cycles and the grand solar minimum, and for those of you who are aware of those kinds of things, what kind of to expect long term. Davidson's an interesting guy. People have different opinions on him. Mike Adams is an interesting guy. People have different opinions on him. But then probably people have different opinions on just about everybody, right? So you take, the more that you take in, the more you have to kind of judge other information. Well, they made some excellent points, one of which they made the observation that prepping has become mainstream, and it certainly has. And I forget which one it was. I think it was Davidson made the point that nobody is planting early anymore. That's true. I noticed several years ago that the seasons have seemed to kind of be set back a little bit. It's staying warmer into the fall, and I know that because when we start putting up Christmas lights, used to be we'd be really cold by the 1st of November, and now we're out wearing t-shirts, sometimes through Thanksgiving. But I've learned that when when I started seedlings and I started thinking I was going to put things out the last few years like I had in years before, I get hit with a frost or a freeze or something like that. It's taken out my peach trees for the last few years. They'll start to come in, they'll start to blossom, and all of a sudden we'll get a freeze, and no more peaches that year, right? So they made that point, and I think that's true. So I have a lot of seedlings started now, looking forward to finally putting them in probably this week, because I think we're done with the real cold temperatures. But that was a way of saying I do invite, we put a lot more stuff over on Patreon than I do on YouTube. So I'm going to keep inviting everybody over there to Patreon. It only costs $1 a month, and you get a lot more information. Matter of fact, I'll be talking about some more stuff a little bit later on when I settle down and enjoy a cold buffalo sweat. I'll be making one for Patreon. So come over and join us if you would. That membership over there, that's exploding. We keep growing really big here on YouTube too, and you guys are great. You guys are great with your comments, and it's good to have all of you here. But if you really want extra, come join us over there, because you'll like it. So back to this, I was turning over some of the garden and getting ready to put in the new seedlings, which hopefully I'll be able to do. And it made me realize that this is the time there's two things going on that everybody should be getting ready for, if you're not already. Everybody down south, you've already planted, you've got a lot of stuff in the ground. People up north, you're going to have to wait a couple more weeks probably. I don't know what's going on up there, but around here, it's time to get stuff in the ground. Now, how about those of you who live in a city or in the suburbs? First off, let me break this up into two distinct segments. If you're an experienced gardener, you know that if you're in the suburbs, you can grow a lot. There was a guy some years ago, I saw his video, that he grew everything in a city lot to both feed his family and build a business. He had so much that he was selling it to restaurants and things. So you can grow everything you need. You don't have to live out in the country. If you live in the city, you can still do a lot. And even if you live in an apartment, you can do container gardening. That brings me around to, what about the beginners? If you have never gardened, or you tried something one time and just didn't work out, and so you think you've got a black thumb and you couldn't grow anything if you tried, don't give up. It's not that hard if you follow a few simple parameters. First off, make sure, say if you're going to do it in a container, do tomatoes, peppers, something easy like that, okay? If you're just getting into it, do that. You experienced people, feel free to put down other recommendations in the comments for any of the newer people, because I don't try to come up with a comprehensive list on all the things that they could try. But you can go to one of your big box stores. You don't have to start them from seeds. Go to the box store, Lowe's or Home Depot or Walmart or any of those places. Buy a little plant. They've already got it started. It already looks like it's growing, and take it home. Get a planter. You can do it in a 5-gallon bucket if you want, but they don't look too good, and a clay pot or something like that looks a lot nicer. And get some good soil. It's about soil, water, and sunlight. Keep those three things in mind. If you have good soil, water them enough every day. And in a container, it's difficult to overwater. You don't have to worry about it. You're not going to drown them, because the container is going to drain anything that's extra. Make sure they're in sunlight for at least 8 hours a day, preferably more. And you'll have fun. You'll crank out some tomatoes, and if you really want to have fun, get one of the plants that puts out a lot of cherry tomatoes, or grape tomatoes, some people call them. But because when those come out, it's not just like, a tomato here and a tomato here and a tomato here and a tomato here. You get a whole bunch of them, and it really feels cool. The first time that you're getting some tomatoes, and man, you got 10 or 12 and a whole bunch like grapes, and they taste great. the difference between a store-bought tomato and a homegrown tomato, well, I can't even explain it. The store-bought tomatoes don't have any taste. They don't taste like tomatoes. If you've never had a real tomato, you don't know what a tomato tastes like, and you would like it. So get some potting soil. It could be Miracle Grow, or there's other brands, and just put it in a pot. Put your plant in it. Follow the directions, and get her started, and water it, and go out and talk to it and sing to it. No, you don't have to do that. You don't have to talk and sing to them, but pay attention to it. And in about 60 to 75 days, you're going to see the beginnings of some tomatoes. Teaches you a lot of things. It teaches you patience. It teaches you how the three things come together: water, soil, and sunlight. And when you start cranking out some tomatoes or whatever, you start to get a feeling of success, and you will be successful. And now, for those of you who are a little more experienced, even if you live in the city, put a whole bunch of pots out. If you've got a west facing or a southern facing, if you got a northern facing, you're cut down on your hours of sunlight every day. But put them out there and see what you can get done. You'll love it. It'll add to your diet. It's not like it's going to feed you. If you're in an apartment, you're not going to be able to do that. But it's a good start. And just because you're in an apartment now doesn't mean you're going to be in an apartment a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. And gardening is something that takes some practice. There's a great learning curve. You're not going to be successful with everything. And then you're going to figure it out. Well, why didn't that work? Watch some other YouTubes or whatever about the proper pruning of tomatoes and peppers, and snipping off the suckers. And people have different ideas about that. But God put those things to grow, and if you just treat them halfway right, you're gonna get something out of it. I'm probably, speaking of in the city, I've had some people ask me about surviving, really escaping the city in a grid down situation, in an EMP, in a total collapse of society, like I talk about in my books. And I think I will do that. And I've been thinking about that quite a bit. It's a good question. There are certain things that I recommend to people. The city can be a death trap. Doesn't have to be, depending on how prepared you are and how smart you are and how much you pay attention, how street smart, how tough, to be honest, and how willing you are to do what it takes to survive. So I think I'll do that. I'm not sure whether I'm going to do that on YouTube or just on Patreon. It kind of depends on how much I get into it. And as I've said before, I'm going to be putting more and more on Patreon. Doesn't mean that I'm going to stop putting things on YouTube. It's just a kind of a difference. I realize that when I get into more specialized things, I called them one time serious, and that's probably not the way to go. More specialized things. It's really, Patreon is really the place for that. For reasons I have explained. Maybe I'll explain again, but I don't want to do it right now. So that's gardening. Okay, you do as much as you can. I put one up a couple of days ago about the coming famine. I believe it. I believe we're going to have hard times. I believe there are going to be food shortages. First off, buy everything that you can. Everything that you buy at today's prices is going to save you money, because you won't have to buy it at tomorrow's inflationary prices. But in addition to the storage, grow everything you can. Now that brings us back to gardening equipment. Gardening tools can be expensive. And, it kills me. It kills me to pay full price for anything like that, when I know that, you can go on, this is the time of the season, go all over the place. You're going to be able to pick up shovels like I did, a great one for $3, a coal shovel for $5. I picked up 2 hammers, 2 good hammers, for $1 a piece. Big stamped, made in America, good wooden handles. And other tools for, I got speed squares for $0.25. I had all sorts of tools that really are duplicates. Things that there was a couple things that I didn't have, but things like speed squares and things like that, I've got them. Are duplicates because if you can pick up a duplicate of something for a quarter, you should. You need it. You might lose one, something you might lend it and not get it back, or somebody might need to borrow it, and then you give them your extra. So these are the things that 'tis the season. 'Tis the season to go garage sailing. Not just for tools. Kelly found a bunch of stuff for some of the things that she found a couple of things for her soap business, storage things that she needs. And in the process of that, in the process of all this, you meet people and you create contacts. She made a huge sale. She made a huge soap sale at one of these places. Just got to talking to somebody that she knew. And somehow soap came up because you bring it up, and I didn't know you made soap, and they got to talking about it, and she has a huge order. Okay, and then I think I've got a couple of new subscribers out of it. You dance around the side of the political food and everything like this, and you find out what page you're on, and all of a sudden you find that you guys think a lot alike, and I sold some books, actually, believe it or not. I said, they found out because Kelly mentioned, she says he's working on his 6th book, and they said, books? I didn't know you wrote books. Started talking about it. Well, they were fascinated with that. So, these things, get out, do things. The main thing, garden and garage sale for your tools and anything else you need. It's also the time. Do you need 55-gallon drums for waste for water containment? Do you need buckets? You never have enough buckets. Do you need building materials for some of the things that you're doing, on your property, in your backyard, whatever? Do you need wire fencing? The list is endless. Before you buy anything at the store and pay those prices, which are inflationary now, you should go out and see whatever you can find at garage sales. Because, it's also, if you look at it, it's kind of the way things would be. This is an alternative economy. This is an alternative world. It's kind of the way things might be if everything goes to what, right? Going around seeing what people have got, and you can trade this for that and get that, and it's just a great time. So anyway, that's my spiel for tonight. I'm going to finish my coffee. I hope you guys are getting out there and doing some of that stuff. And let everybody know, too, in the comments, what have you been able to score at garage sales? And what are you gardening? What have you gotten in? What have you found? If you container garden, for the new people who might be watching, what have you found you had good luck with and didn't have such good luck with? It helps everybody. So, and for you newer people, I always suggest read the comment section, because I've got some smart people on this channel, and they will help you more than you can imagine. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to remember, we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. I want to live very well tomorrow, so do you. So let's get to gardening and garage sailing and pick up the things that we need for a decent price, all right? You all have a great night. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.